Hey everybody, Gage here from Sharp. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a pleasure to have you with me as always. Coming back at you with another repair video. In this one we've got a bit of a doozy to take care of. A Takamura VG10 Special came in. Gyuto 210mm with the tip missing, a large piece of the tip missing. So I thought for this one I would just kind of watch along with the video that I've created for you guys and just kind of explain to you what's happening. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here we go. We know that material needs to get removed from the tip of our knife and also from the edge of our knife, and we need to sort of bring those back together such that they create a point on our knife. So I don't really have any sort of rhyme or reason to determine whether I start removing material from the spine of the knife or from the edge of the knife first. I guess I just kind of go with my gut. And in this scenario, I decided to start removing material from the edge of the knife first. So as you can see, a couple of quick shots right off the bat here just to show you how much material we're removing and how quickly that's happening. All in all, this whole process probably took, I'm gonna say close to like 25 minutes, 30 minutes with both the reshaping of the tip and then performing the regular sharpening here. So it happens a little bit quicker than you might think, especially when you're using an Atoma diamond plate like we are here in this video. This is a 140 grit Atoma diamond plate, removing material, as you can see, very, very quickly from our knife, helping us to shape that tip really, really quickly. Obviously, I'm just focusing all of my attention on the tip of the knife here. I don't want to really remove much material from the rest of the knife. I don't want the knife to get super thick behind the edge, so I'm not removing any material really from the rest of the blade, just at the tip. You'll also notice here that I'm kind of using these little half moon stroke sort of things, trying to get up nice and tall, lifting the handle of the knife up and applying a good amount of pressure right to the tip of the knife, and using sort of these sort of like rocking strokes to try to reshape the tip. That's something that I always try to keep in mind, is the shape I'm trying to achieve on the edge is sort of the shape that I try to use in my strokes. Now we've got the knife flipped over and we are now removing material from the spine of the knife. So you'll notice I've got the knife flipped over upside down and I'm just kind of grinding along the spine, trying to follow the curvature of the spine a little bit. Obviously, if we just kept it in one spot, we'd end up with a big flat spot on the spine, which we don't want. Now you'll see I am using sort of your normal sharpening strokes just on the spine, and that's because as you remove material from the spine, you're going to start to get burrs forming off the sides of the spine, and they become scratchy and not so nice, and they'll definitely affect the way the knife moves through ingredients. So it's important to knock those off as you go. So at this point we've got good progress. The tip is starting to come back for us. Still got a little bit of work to do here, so I'm just going to keep on doing what I've been doing, removing steel from the spine, sort of getting rid of the burrs on the spine, and then flipping over, removing some steel from the edge as well. There's not really any sort of rhyme or reason in my mind as to what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of going with it, trying to just shape a nice tip back on this guy as best as I can. So what I'll do is I'll shut up here for a little bit. I'll just kind of let the video run. There's not really much more to say here. And then we'll kind of reconvene once we get into the regular sharpening process. So I'll see you in a second. Alright, here's a cool point. There's a little burr came off of our knife here. That's pretty normal. We're removing quite a bit of material, so once in a while you'll see a big sort of strip of steel come off of your knife. More common when you're doing your chisels and stuff like that, but obviously does happen when you're working with kitchen knives as well, especially removing this amount of material. Okay, and it looks like now I'm pretty happy with that tip that we've got on here. So once the tip is reshaped and it's looking good, obviously not exactly the way it looked before, but pretty darn good. Nice pointy tip on there. So now we're just going to complete our final sharpening. Make sure you keep your stones flat. That's super important in the regular sharpening process, but especially when we're doing any repairs and stuff like that. You can definitely cause some serious damage to your stones if you're not paying attention. Make sure you round off the corners as well. And for this step, pretty standard sharpening here. I will focus a little bit of extra attention on the tip, but since it's already shaped already, I don't really need to do too much extra work to the tip at this point. And obviously if you haven't seen our sharpening or how-to sharpening video, I'd recommend you check it out. I'll link it at the top right here. But basically what we're doing is forming the burr on the first side of the knife. Once that burr is formed nicely from tip to heel, we're flipping over, forming the burr on the back side, and then performing these nice long deburring strokes. And you'll notice we switch sides every time at this point. And that's to try to sort of align our edge nicely. Moving on to a 1000 grit stone, doing everything all over again, forming burr on side A, flipping over, forming burr on side B, and then performing our deburring strokes. After this 1000 grit stone, we'll move on to the 5000 grit stone and repeat all 3 of those steps all over again. And that'll take us to the end here. We'll see some nice shots of the final tip here in a second, but I'm pretty happy with the way things turned out. Tip looks pretty good, looks pretty much like a normal Gyuto still, nothing sort of weird looking happening at the tip. Nicely polished, nice and sharp. So all in all, I'm pretty happy. If you have any more specific questions about the process, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer you. If not, thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure to have you with me, and until the next video, stay sharp.